Before we begin, we want to acknowledge that some stories and discussions in this episode of Radiant Resilience may touch on sensitive and potentially triggering topics. These may include themes of childhood poverty, divorce and family separation, substance abuse, feelings of invisibility and codependency, and identity crisis. Our goal is to share real life experiences in a respectful and empathetic manner, offering insights into the complexities of the human spirit and the journey towards resilience. However, we understand that some content might be difficult for listeners. We encourage you to prioritize your well being and discretion when deciding to listen. Please remember this podcast is not a substitute for professional advice or support. If you find yourself needing assistance, we urge you to seek help from qualified professionals or trusted support systems. Your mental and emotional health is important to us. Thank you for your courage and for joining us in a space of understanding and compassion. Welcome back, everyone, to Radiant Resilience. I have a very interesting guest with me today. I have Marta Czajkowska. I was talking about that before I started recording. Marta is a transformative coach and founder of Masters of Badassery, where coaching meets bold outdoor adventure. She guides high-achieving individuals, especially those in major life transitions, through immersive, nature-based experiences that combine physical challenge with powerful inner work. Her approach is designed to disrupt old patterns, spark clarity, and help people reconnect with their truth. Rooted in her own journey of rising from poverty, healing generational wounds, and creating a life of freedom and purpose, Marta's work empowers clients to break free from expectations and boldly create what's next. I love that bio. Welcome, Marta. How are you today?
I am great. And just listening to you read that, it really touched me just now. So
It's beautiful.
thank you.
I'm like so excited to have this conversation and really dive into a lot of these topics because I think everybody needs this stuff. So I'm going to let you start telling us a little bit of your personal journey and wherever you feel like starting with that and whatever you feel comfortable sharing, I'll let you go ahead and start with that.
Yeah, thank you. It's interesting. When I was growing up, I thought, "Oh my God, this kind of sucks."
Mm.
And now, 40 years later, I'm like, "Oh, that was really what made me." Starting to really see the incredible value that this brought. But for me, I was born in 82. Poland was transitioned into market economy from communism in 89. So
Mhm.
for my first 7 years, we were still in that a different system. And as a kid, you don't understand freedom of speech or whatever, but you do pick up on everybody's emotions. The emotions around where we got left behind, we're lesser than, we'll never catch up, we don't get nice clothes, we don't get
Mhm.
toys, what kids care about.
Yeah.
And so that was the gray backdrop. But of course, you don't know any different as a kid. You just know that's your reality.
Yeah.
And as I was growing up and the system changed, I came into a realization that my parents got a divorce when I was 15. I was like, oh,
Mhm.
all this shit is made up. People say that
Oh,
this is the system, and then it's not. People say, oh, we're married, we're family. Oh, we're not. And
yeah.
shockingly, many kids go through that, and it's a crisis. For me, it was a moment of liberation. And I was like,
Oh,
oh, these are not, I don't have to play by those rules either.
okay.
Cool.
Yeah, I love
Now,
that perspective because my parents got divorced when I was 19,
uh
but I didn't look at it that way. It was definitely a crisis. So,
yeah, most, I mean, it's how you look at it. And I think I was just lucky. And I also really needed it because I wasn't living my best life. We had
mm,
moved out into the suburbs. I was alone. We didn't have a phone. As a 15-year-old, your friends are your life.
yeah.
And I just remember going, "Oh, you guys don't play by the rules? Guess what? I'm not gonna play by these rules either."
Yeah.
And that was really the most pivotal moment for me. And then I started going down the path of doing drugs and
Oh
drinking, and
no.
because I was like, now that I don't have to be good.
Freedom.
But then the grace touched me, the universal grace touched me, and someone told me about rock climbing, and I was like, okay, I'll see what that's about. And the moment I got into it, I was like, okay, this is gonna be my life. I know. I
Mhm.
am now convinced that this is going to be the rest of my life. And in this fundamentalist way that teenagers think, but it really saved me.
How old were you when you discovered that?
I was about 15. It was all about the
Okay.
same time. And so it gave me this like outlet to go and do hard things, use my body, got me outside and got me. I always say it's if I was to have a choice between being a richest person in the world or being a rock climber, I always choose the rock climbing.
Yeah.
There is just the value that this has brought into my life
Mm.
has been just enormous. It's been enormous. And it's been over 25 years, pushing on 30 that I've been practicing the craft
Yeah.
and the mastery of rock climbing. And so it really got me out. So then I literally saw a rock climbing movie about California when I was 15. And then I was like, that I'll be there. Like, I'll be in this freaking movie.
Ah.
And then I did that.
So Poland has a lot of rock climbing? I guess I never really knew
The
that.
Eastern Bloc countries, Poland, Slovenia, Slovakia, Czech Republic, all these countries, because communism thought that mountain climbing was building character and stuff. So there was actually governmental budget for rock climbers. And so that's
Hmm.
why in the Himalayas and all over the world you have a lot of Eastern Bloc first ascents and so on
Yeah.
because these people were actually professionals before guys in the Western countries were like trying to drive cabs and go on expeditions before they were sponsored. But in the Eastern Bloc, people actually got money and got that paid for. So not a lot of climbing in Poland, but a lot of climbers.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So climbing changed your life at 15. So what happened after that?
Yeah, I watched the movie and I was like, that's where I'm going. And so when I was 20, I got on the plane to San Francisco to go to Yosemite and I
Okay.
literally had $200 and I was like, That's it. This is my new life."
Yeah. So you came like planning, this is where I'm moving. This is not,
No,
or not quite yet.
I actually came for the summer.
Okay.
I got like a little like student visa so I could work. I came for the summer and then I ended up not right away, but I ended up staying. I ended up coming over more and more and
Yeah.
developing connections and friendships and ultimately I moved 3 years later. I moved to the US. Yeah.
Okay. So in those 3 years, you were going back and forth and stuff.
Yeah, I was trying to. My parents really wanted for me to finish university in Poland. I couldn't make that happen. I got transferred to Spain where there was more rock climbing. But I was already making my own way but with
Yeah.
the focus of really Yosemite Valley was my focus and it's so funny. I meet climbers from here in the US and they're like, "Isn't there climbing in Europe?" And I'm like, "Yeah, there is." Yes, I needed to really leave. Now, looking back, I really
Mm.
needed to go and make a sort of a rite of passage for a young person to sever from what's known
Mhm.
and from the family ties and from all that was to start developing who I was. And I had that focus, climbing was that focus, but it really, looking back, it was an excuse to go and go through that rite of passage and become my own person.
Yeah, for sure. And so did you know anybody here when the first time you came here?
No, I literally like would hitchhike and sleep on people's couches and was it was that kind of thing. And it's funny, a friend's daughter reached out to me. She's 19 and I'm thinking of doing a leap year and traveling around. And I was like, oh my God, it takes so much to do this. And I was like, you go for it. You got this. But inside, I was like remembering how hard it was. And
Yeah.
wow, it's gonna
How
be.
was your, if you don't mind me asking, how was your English when you first came over here? Was it pretty good? Or
Yeah, I had high school English, probably better than most people's. high school Spanish is.
My
But
high school Spanish was terrible. So
yeah. Yeah.
nice.
Uh,
So that had to be intimidating, right? Coming over here and not knowing the language or the culture as much and just seeing what you've seen on TV and whatever. And
oh yeah. And I actually went to Lake Tahoe, which was a perfect place to go. This was like 2000 something in early 2000s, and it was still a small town, so it was nice to meet people and plug into a community,
yeah.
because without it, it's really impossible. I can't imagine what it would be like to come to a big city,
Yeah.
but it really is, it's so much more scary before, and when
Yeah.
you're in it, you're just dealing. It's just like
Yeah.
anything else. You're like, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but then you start walking and something happens.
Mhm.
Definitely more. You can't imagine what's going to happen. What's going to happen
Yeah.
is more than you could ever imagined.
Yeah. So when you kept coming back, did you keep coming back to California specifically then, over and over?
For a long time. I was just really drawn to California, and I lived there for 20 years before moving to Colorado. It's just the small town is no longer a small town over there. So
That's changing here in Colorado too. I'm like,
yeah.
because we have all the people moving here from California, so probably for similar reasons. But yeah, what did your family think when you started coming out here more and then it was becoming like a more permanent thing? What was their
Yeah.
thoughts?
Oh my God. Like, all the moms that are listening, right? You have your daughter, she's 20, she goes on a summer adventure. And this is like just beginning of email, like people had work emails and stuff. And then I email her that I'm staying. And actually, on that first go, I decided to go to South America for a year and travel around. So I'm like, I don't, I didn't say anything else. I was just like, I'm staying. I'm gonna go to South America for a year. And she's just, oh my God, you're gonna never come back. Never
Yeah.
finish school. You're gone. So my mom
Oh.
was terrified.
Hmm.
And it was funny. And then I talked to my dad, and he goes, yeah, I would do the same if I could. So I
Oh.
had both. I could both. But I know that now, years later, that adventure that I stepped into, being the sort of the first one in my family, it really rubbed off on them. And my mom got to
Mm.
travel with me a lot, and
Oh,
she
good.
became a lot more confident in doing that. And so I can see how that courage that we have, it influences others. My little sister, I have a little sister, and she actually a couple years ago moved to LA from Poland, and she's pursuing a career in film. I'm like, oh yeah, I see why she's doing this.
And I imagine your parents being an older generation in Poland, did they travel around Europe much
No, the
or
borders were closed. They couldn't,
yeah.
yeah, they could stay, they could go to Eastern Bloc countries, but it was the Iron Curtain, what people know as Iron Curtain, it was a real thing. Like, you couldn't
Mhm.
go unless there was some sort of, you need to have a visa and stuff like that. They grew up much more sheltered, and they really didn't have the opportunity,
Yeah.
like the opportunities that they had were so much less than
Yeah.
what we have now. And it's good to put it in perspective and remember, live traveling all over the world. At some point, I lived in a van, and I traveled all over the world for climbing.
Yeah.
And then I would be like, oh, this is boring.
And your parents are like, "What are you doing?" No.
Yeah, no, totally. It's all about perspective and keeping gratitude, right, for the
Mhm.
opportunities that we have.
Yeah.
'Cause,
And it's so easy to lose that perspective, right? When
yeah.
it's just your normal everyday, we take it all for granted for
Mhm.
sure. And we need that reminder every once in a while. So,
This actually is a great lead up, because this was my second pivotal moment in my life. I was in Tasmania on a 3-month climbing trip. And I woke up one day, and we were in this like beautiful bay, and we're going climbing. And I was like, this is empty. And I remember thinking that and going, and this was the moment when I saw myself, and I was like,
mm,
okay, if this is empty, then there's got to be more. Then that means
mm,
I am avoiding something, or I am living in a comfort zone.
mm,
And I remember that moment, and the contrast was so stark, because it looked so adventurous on Instagram or whatever. But
yeah.
for me, it was really defaulting again to whatever I knew. And this is where my second awakening came, and that later led me into life coaching.
Oh, that's really interesting. Talk to me a little bit before we move on into that second awakening, because I do want to talk about that. But talk to me about feeling invisible. You mentioned feeling invisible. I don't know if that was growing up or, but talk to me about that.
Yeah, and this is touching on being a woman in the world. My family, I come from a long line of codependent women, women that sacrifice themselves and their dreams for the
Mhm.
better of everyone else, for the children, for the husbands. And even though I didn't go through therapy when I was young, and so even I was doing all the things that looked like I am claiming my life, I was still running these codependency and people pleasing
Mm,
scripts. And I was running them and they were running me. So over and over, I would get into places where I felt unseen. But it wasn't that I was unseen. I was putting myself in the role that was a supporting role, that was supporting my husband for his rock climbing or my
mhm,
friends so that they have a better trip or and I was too afraid to really put my worth, my dreams, who
mm,
I'm being first. And it was really scary to change that, to look at it, because it's been thousands of years of women shrinking, and I haven't met a woman who's not doing this in some sort of scenario unless they've really worked it through. Sometimes old ladies really had it, which
yeah.
is great.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying this because it can look like, and I see it in my clients, it can look like a lot of confidence and showing up in certain areas of life, but then not all the way across.
Mm,
And so for a long time, I was still like, I was trying to look strong and look like I'm doing it, but I
mm.
really wasn't.
That is so ingrained in our conditioning and our brains from birth, basically. And I'm hoping it's definitely being talked about more and stuff like that now. And I'm hoping that we're raising our children a little bit differently than we were raised and a little bit better. But yeah, to change that mindset of, I have to take care of the household. I have to take care of my husband. I have to take care of the kids. That is our job from day one. And mostly why? Because we carry the children and birth the children. That seems to be the only reason. If we didn't have to do that, then we'd have a lot more freedom, I feel like. But
Right. And I think I see a lot, like I'll just talk about myself because I think that's the most powerful, that it will be a daily thing. And I have an incredible partner who's super supportive. He really carries a lot of weight, but I will see myself like automatically doing all the things. And I have to like pull myself away and be
Mhm.
like, dishes can be in the sink. They can be
Mhm.
there. As
Yeah.
long as I let them be there, they can be there,
Yeah.
And it gets done. It
Yeah.
really does. This is something that I invite my clients who struggle with this, because the story is, why do I always have to do it all? And
Mm.
so you don't, but you are doing it. What would it be to let it all? Make sure the kids are surviving.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and we have partners for a reason. I feel like it's supposed to be a partnership. So
right,
let's work
right,
together a little bit more here.
right, right.
That
It,
we can
it, it-
both
it's
have jobs
definitely
and
It's definitely a pattern that I see myself defaulting to, and I got to remember every day not to.
it's so hard to change that programming in our brains when that's just what we've been taught. Because like you said, it's just like automatic. You just
Yeah,
do
yeah,
it.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, so tell me about your second awakening. Let's go to that.
Yeah. So you guys already know, beautiful beach in
Mm.
Tasmania, and then the feeling that there's got to be more, that I am defaulting and I don't know, like this is my dream life, but I don't really want it feeling.
Mm.
And I think it's something that many of us can relate to. Doesn't matter where you are. It could be the picket fence, it could be the job. Ooh, there is more. Not all my being is being expressed. And I came back from the trip, I was really beat down, and a
Mm.
friend sent me to her counselor. And I went and talked to that lady, and this is the first time I started doing therapy. And it may be like a year into this, and I was definitely in deep identity crisis. I was like, I know how to do this, I don't know how to do anything else. And like I've rejected society and ran off to the woods. And now what? And then
Mm.
I don't know what it was. I wish I remember what it was, but that I was telling her about. And she said, Marta, this is great news. It means you're finally ready to step into your life purpose as someone who leads other therapeutically.
Oh.
And she said that, and I promised, like, I was still pretty strong on the people pleaser. If I wasn't, I would have left and be like, how dare you give me hope
Mm.
that I can be useful, that I can be bringing value. Like, it was so, I felt so much emotion when she said that. And then I knew that she was right because of
Mm.
all the stuff that it released in me. And I sat with that for a while because I really didn't feel worthy. I didn't feel like I
Mm.
had anything to give, or I was like, I just been like running away for decades. And
A little bit of imposter syndrome of
yeah,
what do
like,
I have to give to these
yeah,
people? Who am
what do I
I?
have to
Yeah.
give? That's
Mm.
exactly it. People spend their lives and careers and pursuing things, and I just been like screwing off in the beach
But
on the
having
cliff.
amazing experiences.
Right. Totally. And but I sat with it and I was like, okay, she's right. I have to do it. There's no way out. I have to because of the way I feel. And I was really terrified. And I was like, okay, there's only really two. For some reason, I thought there was only two ways. Either I go to school and become a therapist, or I go the coaching way. And I knew right away, I was like, I can't go to school and listen to another dude tell me things for like I knew it. I was just like, no, that's
Yeah.
impossible. Like I
Yeah.
can't do it. As much as I'm afraid to go on the coaching thing, I know it's gonna be super difficult. It's gonna be the most difficult thing I've ever done. That's what I have to do.
But also, I don't know about it sounds like you're similar, so correct me if I'm wrong, but because I'm a hairdresser and I went to beauty school during my senior year of high school. I know now that I never would have made it in a university. I probably could have figured it out, but I like I was so done with the school part of school. I need to
Yeah.
learn in different ways. And I think that our society has pushed college, university, all the things like after high school, but that's not for everyone. And you can learn in different ways. And we need to
Especially
nurture
now.
each person's different learning styles.
Oh my God, especially now. You can, and this is what I did. I was like, okay, if I'm gonna do coaching, I'm not gonna go to school, but I'm going to research the hell out of it
Yeah.
and find the people that are doing the work I align with,
Yes.
and learn from them and apprentice with them. And that was a perfect choice because I ended up in all these rooms where, in all these different Zoom rooms and different communities where I was learning the deepest way that I could be
Mhm.
helpful, and not just Western psychology. That's got a lot of good stuff, but it's got a lot of other stuff too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And so I don't want to make it sound like it was, I woke up on the beach in Tasmania and I became a world-class life coach. That's not how it worked.
Mm.
There was a lot of fear that was guarding that gold of me stepping into something that I know I've been apprenticing all my life to do. It just didn't look like the school, but it looked like hanging on the side of the wall for 20 years. And that was the perfect learning for me.
I love that. How old were you when you started this path then?
That was probably in my mid 30s.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you
Uh-huh.
had been climbing and doing all this stuff for probably,
Yeah.
what was that, like
20
almost
years,
20
yeah.
years? Yeah. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Mhm.
And I imagine, so I've dabbled in rock climbing. I am terrified of heights, so that doesn't help. But
Right.
I have enjoyed going out, being in nature, all the beautiful places, things like that. I also enjoy the climbing gym as well. That's definitely a little bit more my forte. But I imagine when you're not terrified, like I always am, that it's a little bit more meditative. Is it like a meditative practice?
It can be. I
Okay.
would say most people have some level of fear, and it takes a while to get used to trusting the system. What I love about climbing for in therapeutic ways and working with clients is that you can make rock climbing really safe,
Mhm.
while like actually safe, while having the brain of a person who's doing it really freak out because it doesn't feel safe. And so it's like take skydiving or mountain biking, these are not super safe. Like it's easy to get hurt. The harder it gets, the more dangerous it gets. In climbing, that's not the case. So it's actually a nice little way to have people get exposed to fear while it's not actually dangerous.
Unless you're Alex Honnold and you're climbing without a rope.
Unless there's plenty of ways to make it dangerous.
Sure, he's amazing. I've seen so
Yeah.
many documentaries on him, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, he does that. He does all that stuff without a rope. It's crazy.
Very inspiring person. Yeah.
Very. He's a very interesting human. That was a little tangent, but I love that. It forces you to face your fears then. Is that what you're saying?
It's not for everybody.
Sure.
Some people are just going to have too much fear. It really depends on your nervous system regulation. And for me, as I work with a client, I usually work with a person for at least a year. We do a lot of coaching and we do a lot of gauging where they're at to find that perfect stretch. And because what happens when the fear comes on is that all of our protections also come on. And so the purpose of this all is not to overcome the fear and dominate and get to the top, right? That's the patriarchy way. We're not doing this, right? It's to bring on something that's going to activate your protections so that you can ground them and love them and welcome them. And when our system, and protection could be perfectionism, people pleasing, self-judgment, right? In the system where these protections are unconscious, we can't love them. I just judge people all the time, or I can't believe I again was a pushover and I people pleased the hell out of that thing. Healing doesn't happen there. Healing happens when we say, welcome. It makes sense why I'm doing this. And let's sit with this and extend love so that this part doesn't drive me anymore. So that's really the work that I use the climbing to bring on. And what happens in the moment is that a person cannot deny it. It's undeniable. When it really comes out, right? It's, oh my God, I do this. And in that moment we can change it, right? It really helps us speed up that healing process. Yeah.
This is amazing. So, talk to me about that time period of building this coaching program and the things you were learning, and then also just the challenges of starting your own business, and especially as a woman. Yeah,
Yeah.
talk to me about that process.
Yeah, absolutely. I was really lucky to start with. I sat for a while with this idea and I was hesitant because I knew it would be the hardest thing I'll ever do. But the moment I actually committed and decided, I went full in. And it just so happened that I started like having clients in September or something. And then this was the year that COVID hit. And there was actually a lot of people needed support. A lot of people that I knew needed support. And so it actually worked to the benefit of me starting that business. People had to slow down and it was a beautiful time to be able to help people. And I started just doing free coaching and then slowly transitioned into charging money
Did it
and
start as one thing and then morph into something else as you went and learned things and then realized what you liked better? And
oh yeah, and it still does, but it definitely would. I came in thinking, oh, I'm gonna do nature coaching. Like for sure that's what I know. So I'm gonna just take people out and coach them there. Nobody wanted it. It was so
oh,
funny. It was like nobody wanted it. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna, but people were like, but I would like to do Zoom coaching. Um,
okay. You're like, but
and
that wasn't my vision.
I was like, whatever. The way I look at it now is I feel like I needed to log in my 10,000 hours. I just
Ah,
needed to get the skill.
yeah.
And I have some people that apprentice with me right now, and like I can see that. I'm like, yeah, you have everything that you need, except you need more practice.
Right.
So that whatever people come with, it's just like any other skill. You can't, I tried to cut my own hair the other day. Like it's not very good. For 10,000 haircuts, you're really good.
Yes, practice makes perfect for sure.
And so I just needed to put in the time. And I feel like this, the universe, the moment that I really was like, okay, I really have this, I can coach anyone and I can vouch for bringing incredible value to anyone's life. Doesn't matter what they're struggling with. I have the skill of what it is to ask deep questions and to
Mm.
have a person reflect deeper and be more aligned with themselves. That's when I started getting people that are like, "Oh, I want to climb the mountain." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Of course you do."
Now the universe is saying, Marta, you're ready.
That's it. That's it. Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
Amazing. So then it morphed more, so that it eventually became the nature coaching then.
Yeah, and so what I do now is it's pretty awesome, but it's a year-long contract where we come up with some sort of mountain goal. And people do all kinds of stuff. It can be rock climbing. Some people have done rock climbing before, maybe like before having kids, they done rock climbing and then they fell out. But it also could be trekking. It really doesn't matter all
Mhm.
that much. It's about having something that we're going towards, and so that all of the things that have been standing in our way can come out to the surface so we can extend love and forgiveness towards
Mm.
ourselves.
Mm.
And then it doesn't really matter if we reach that goal, but sometimes we don't. But that translates into a person's life in a way that I never seen anything else translate like that. All of a sudden, the marriage is better, the relationship with kids, the work, the promotion, like it's like everything's avalanches up.
Yeah. You mentioned that you work pretty specifically with women going into new phases, aka empty nesters specifically. So let's talk about that because I think a lot of my listeners can definitely resonate with that and what you found with working with these women. And I think identity crisis, it's something that keeps coming up in my world over and over. I mean, I watched my in-laws retire and that was an identity crisis. And then I think even having kids a lot of the times creates an identity crisis because you throw yourself into the motherhood, and our society tells you if you don't do that, you're a bad mom. So let's talk about, I guess, specifically empty nesters first, and I'm sure this is going to spiral into a bigger
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah.
So,
I think I'm specifically interested in the group because there's something that happens for menopausal women where, and I hear this all the time, I feel invisible, I feel discarded, I feel like there's nothing else to do. I think this is the end. Like one of my clients said, "What do I do now? Just sit there and drink wine and go to barbecues, like, or play
mm,
pickleball?" That's like nothing wrong with those things, but if we
mhm,
relate to him in that way, right? Then, and we have a lot of life ahead of us.
mm,
So when, specifically for women that are either transitioning out of careers where they're like, okay, I've given enough to this job.
mhm,
That's good. I've given so much. I've given enough. I'm ready to do something else. And the same with the family. Like when they sit quietly on their own, they're like, I don't know who I am. I really don't know. I don't know what's next. And we're losing
mm,
the identity with being attractive at that time as well. And that's this whole invitation into elderhood. And I find that if we can create more women elders in this society, that's when our daughters and our sons will be able to create a different type of society. And on the other very practical level, they start having time because what I do is time consuming. If you're raising
mm.
kids, my friends that have small kids, they have zero time.
Yeah.
They can't even go on a hike when they're their kids.
I've had friends that are like, I can't even go to the bathroom by myself. Yeah.
Totally. That's understandable. There's more in there I can talk about, but I won't. But but when that moment is the kids are starting to move on, and a lot of moms don't even know how to let them go because it's you've been my whole freaking life for the last 18 years.
Yeah.
And so they start clinging. I know some of my clients are like they came and they're like texting with their kids during our coaching session. I'm like, dude, you gotta stop. Your kids are fine. They
Yeah.
don't need you right now.
Yeah. Which is
Uh,
hard. That's what they want. They want to be needed still
they
so
want to be
bad.
needed,
How
right? So
does
they're,
that
yeah.
how does that affect the relationship between the parent and the kid? Do you find that is it pretty consistent with not being a great relationship until mom can let go, or are they good relationships?
Yeah, I think it's all over the place.
Okay.
It's so important to sever that bond and the mother-child bond and to create a new one, to transition
Yeah.
into this being a different type of bond. And it does not happen automatically. For some people, it does. Maybe they move away, whatever. But for many people, it doesn't happen automatically. It takes time and intention.
Yeah.
So that's why having someone help you, I'm looking at actually going on a trip with a father and a 20-year-old son.
Mm.
He reached out to me, the dad, and he's, I really want to get out of me being the dad and create a new level of relating to each other. And so going on a trip where it's level field and the
Mm.
dad doesn't know more,
Yeah.
it can create that transition, a footing for them. So this is actually new to me to be going with the young people as well. But I think it's really powerful and it's all aligned with my belief is that as I left my parents' house at 20 to go discover the world, I don't say anybody, everybody has to do it, but a version of that is incredibly healthy for
Yeah.
us. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's our point of raising children is to make them independent, good contributing members to society, humans. And
Yeah.
but then it's like when they get to that point, you're like, whoa, wait, nope,
Well,
not
I
yet.
always laugh. I don't have
I'm
my own
not
kids.
ready.
I don't have my own kids, but I always
Same.
laugh that it would be the hardest job ever to have because I know as a human that the biggest what what helps you the most in life is taking risk. If you
Mhm.
the more you take risk, the more you grow. The more you take risk, the more you learn, the more whole you become. But as a parent, you want your kid to be whole and all that, but you don't want him to take risks.
Yeah, for fear for them.
For sure.
Yeah. How much of that is control, though? How much of not being able to let go is a control factor, too?
Yeah, and that would be a protection mechanism. And so that's a beautiful question. Thank you for asking it because that's our protection. Like we think we can control, but we really can't. Look around, like these trees are gonna grow as they grow. There's nothing I can do.
Yeah.
And to recognize our need for control as a protection for us and not for the kids,
Mm.
certainly there is a level of teenagers not being very smart and needing to help them, of
Yes.
course.
Yeah.
But we gotta separate what's ours. When my sister was moving to LA, actually, she's 20 and she's gonna move to LA. It's a big move, it's scary. And some of our family members were saying, "Oh my God, don't do it. It's gonna be so scary." And they're telling me it's gonna be scary. And I'm like, those are their fears.
Yeah.
They're putting their fears on you. They don't even know. They're just trying to keep you safe.
Yeah. They
Have to.
mean well.
They do. They mean absolutely. But
Yeah.
and this is for young people and for women transitioning to the new phase, like others will give you their fears and you don't have to listen. When I was transitioning into coaching, my partner at the time he was like, "Oh, that's gonna be really hard. Like, how you there's millions of unemployed coaches. Most coaches make like zero money. How are you
Mm.
gonna make it?" And he really meant well, but I knew, like, my myth, my soul knew that
Yeah.
this is the only way that I can go and find that full purpose in my life. And so it didn't matter. If I
Yeah.
had listened to him, I would still be stuck in my old job. So we don't have to always listen. Yes, consider,
Sure. Yeah.
but
Don't do stupid things. Do the
right.
research, figure it out. But a lot of that is also listening to your intuition. Like you were saying, you
Right.
knew deep
Yeah.
down in your soul that this was the right thing to do. And Especially, I think if you sit with something for a really long time, eventually you're like, I gotta do that. I gotta, or nope, that was not the right way to go. I'm gonna go this way anyway, in a different way now.
Totally. And it could be fast and it could be slow, it doesn't matter. But if you can commit to trusting yourself, if you can just decide today, you don't have to have any other skill or anything else, but if you can just today, anyone that's listening, decide, I decide that I trust myself, that I am trustworthy. I
Mm,
am trustworthy. I make good decisions for me. That's all you need. Because
yeah.
from that trust, you will be guided to do the right thing for you.
But that's so hard to do.
We're
We're
taught
not.
to research more, do blah, 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 10 best ways to blah, blah, blah. None of that is true. It's
Mhm.
just people creating content.
Yeah.
That's a one skill that I wish there was some class in first grade on. Make good decisions.
We also, the powers that be right now don't want us to trust ourselves either, because that's,
The more this is the mythical time to do it,
yeah,
yeah, the
yeah,
more we get to claim that. I love that you
yeah,
said that.
yeah. So when you're working with these women that are like, I'm just trying to think of the women listening that are maybe stuck in this phase. Obviously, like working with you is going to be helpful, but I'm just curious if there's anything you can give my listeners, like, what is a good way to start with trying to heal that identity crisis?
Yeah, that's a great question because I don't think anyone needs me. There is so many ways to step into this. And one of my favorite things I give people to start with is no matter how busy you are, carve out some time for yourself. Whatever, if you had three little kids, maybe it's 30 minutes.
Mhm.
Get a babysitter. I don't know.
Yeah.
And you might have more, maybe you have 2 days, right? To spend time alone in nature
Mm,
and really turn off the phone, turn off the thinking of trying to take care of everything,
mm,
just sit there. And I like to say, I'll put myself somewhere like here and I would say, I am available to listen. Just
mhm,
that. It's a threshold moment where you decide, I am no longer in my world of my mind, just solving the world's problems. I am
mhm.
here to be present and to listen.
Yeah.
And if you just do that, and maybe it's 5 minutes in the evening where you look at the stars, or it doesn't matter, and you don't have to go to the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
You can do it in the park,
Mhm.
right? Just decide that you're available to listen, and you will have an experience of something. And when you're done, say, I'm done listening. I'm not available to listen anymore. That's okay, right? You can go back to your life and do the things that, you need to be doing. But to practice conscious presence in nature can
Mm,
be absolutely life-changing.
yeah. That's amazing. So do you think that when women do that, they start to discover more about themselves in those moments? Or is it
Yeah,
more of like a shut everything off, be with yourself kind of situation?
and and I think we have our unconscious mind and everything is already in us. It's just noise that we get to cut through to get to it. So we don't ever need to be any better at anything. We just need to drop in deeper to be more true to
Mm,
what was already there. And so what I love about that is that you can go and sit with yourself and be present with what is and sink in instead of having to like, oh, I need to go and get this degree and do that.
mm.
And you might, but but make it come from that deep place. Yeah.
Yeah, really sit with yourself. Ooh, that's tough. That's a scary thing to do. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I have always struggled with meditation. That's definitely something my brain just goes and goes all the time. But when I have committed to it, I do eventually get that to shut down. But it's a scary thing to sit with yourself, especially if you never have.
It's scarier before you do it than when you're doing it. It's scary beforehand because it's unknown. And a lot of people, which is, I understand, we're afraid if we sit, difficulty will come up from the inside. And will we be able to
Mm,
be present in it?
yeah.
Will this overtake me? Will this everything fall apart? If you're having problems with your marriage, if you sit with really how you feel, does it going to mean that everything is going to fall apart? It's real. It's a real thing for all of us. And the truth is, it will not fall apart. It will just help you get to a deeper self that can hold it and make decisions from the deep knowing and not from reaction.
Yeah, I love
And you might need help,
that.
right?
Yes.
You might need help. There's tons of incredible help out there. I have a group for women. It's a free group. We
Okay.
meet every third Friday, and it's a group for women that want to start something new in their life. And so your listeners are welcome. There is no fee of any sort, and it's a beautiful group of women that we meet and learn new things and do coaching. And
That's
yeah,
amazing. I can try to link that. Is that on your website
it's
or?
on my website. Yeah.
Okay.
It's
I
called
will.
Bold and Free. Bold and Free.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will link that in the show notes for anybody who is interested in that because that's amazing. Is it like a Zoom thing or is it in
Yeah.
person? Okay.
Yeah. It's a Zoom
Oh,
thing. Yeah. Yeah.
nice. That's amazing. I think it's also nice we need more women being kind and encouraging other women in this world because I think that's a lot of our problem as well, is we're nasty to each other sometimes. So,
Yeah, and just to have community, just to
yeah.
have to to hear someone say your biggest fear, that
Mm,
changes everything. Go, oh my God, I see you as so amazing, and you're afraid of this too.
mm,
That means that we can get through this together in some way. It's invaluable what I see happening in this group for women. It's really incredible.
that's
Yeah.
amazing. Okay, so tell me a little bit more of the Masters of Badassery and what that looks like to work with you currently. I know you mentioned a few things throughout the podcast of it's a year contract, it's all outdoor stuff. So talk to me for those listening who might be interested in working with you, what that looks like.
Yeah, the name, actually, one of my clients gave me the name.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
it was like I didn't have a name. I just had my coaching business.
Huh.
She was starting to do this, and she's, oh my God, I feel like I'm gonna get my Masters of Badassery. And
And
I
you're
was like,
like, that's
okay.
it.
I'm like, I'm using it.
I love that.
Yeah, and it's incredible. It's quite a bit of commitment of time. And every person, the goals are different and stuff, but the idea is you commit to yourself for a year. There is weekly coaching. And then we go, and depending on where you are or where you want to go, I've gone as close as some 14,000 feet peaks behind my house and desert treks and
You take
things.
people on these trips then?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we'll meet either someone's flying somewhere or driving
Yeah.
and they're minimum 3-day trips. We've done a 20-day trip with someone. And so to do bigger mountains, the trips get longer
Sure.
just because of acclimatizing and all that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I guess if you have people coming here from other places, we
yes,
need to be aware of the altitude sickness for
yeah,
sure.
exactly.
That's something I forget about a lot because I grew up
Oh,
here.
yeah.
Like it's not really ever been something I'm very lucky because it's never really been something I've struggled with. My husband and I have traveled a lot and we've climbed a lot of big mountains, but luckily it's not that was never something we really struggled with because we grew up here. We're like Sherpas.
It makes a big difference. It makes a big difference to be coming from even 5,000 feet
Yeah.
versus sea level, for
Yeah.
sure. It basically translates into a week or so.
Yeah. Yeah, because you just have to
So
go, you can do it. You just have to go slower. It's
you got to
just
go.
so you can acclimatize and all that
Hmm.
stuff. I'm sorry, continue. That was a bit of a tangent.
No, it is a thing. And honestly, what we find out is in the process is so much more than, like, someone might say, I want to be more resilient, or I want to find something that drives me. What comes out is so much more. There's so much of what we talked about with self-healing and welcoming the protections and emotional regulation. Even though people sign up for coaching and going into the mountains, the result and the value that they bring out of this at the end is so much more than that. There is a completely different relationship to self, including self-trust and self-love and accountability, integrity. And through that, the relationships change, and inevitably it all funnels into being more powerful leader and bringing service into the world. Because once we clear our densities and include all the parts of our system into a loving ecosystem of self, there's no way but we pass it forward. It's just what happens.
Yeah. So are
So
they?
we are saving the world through it.
Yes, yes. And I'm assuming a lot of the people you work with have never done trips like this before.
Yeah, I actually, it's funny, like I get a lot of people saying, I would love to do it, but I've never done anything like this. And I'm like, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Including some people are like not even athletes at all. It's why not? Like, why not embrace that new identity and learn stuff? We have a lot of life to live still and a lot of our brilliance to give to the world.
Mhm.
Actually, the harder it seems, the more you're gonna get out of it,
Yeah.
as anything else. As
Yeah, for sure. It is transformative even when you are somebody that does it regularly, like your rock climbing and stuff like
Yep.
that. But the first, you'll never forget the first adventure you go on. It's so transformative. And then to push yourself to do that and through the hard stuff, and it's so rewarding in the end.
Oh my God. Yeah, for sure.
That's
Exactly.
amazing. That's got to be so cool for you to be on those trips with those people and watch that happen. I think
Oh
that would be
yeah. I
really
mean,
cool.
I'm so proud. Oh my God.
Mhm. So one more thing I want to touch on before we close out is you mentioned to me that you were putting out a book. So let's talk about that a little bit. What's the book about? And then I think you said it comes out in September. So tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, it's been such a process. I've been sitting on this book for quite a while, and I just didn't have clarity. I was like, I want to write a book. That was as much clarity as I had. And I actually read a book about book writing called The Story Arc. And I was like, that's it. And now I know how to do it. I was just like, I have my blueprint. So the story arc, for anyone who's interested, great way of giving you clarity about how to write this kind of book. So my book is about my story that we touched on a little bit on today, going into much more detail of all of my incredible adventures and my upbringing. And then I transition into part two is teaching my methodology. So what I do with people out there in the mountains, it's all in there for the reader to experience. And so it's very practical. There's a lot of exercises and experiences. And then I have a bunch of success stories of different people, myself included. And I just want to make sure that when I say success stories, I don't mean we did it, we achieved whatever the thing, but success story to me is when you come home to yourself, you
Mhm.
actually in whatever you're doing in the world are aligning with your authenticity, with your essence, with who you are, and living from that. And sometimes that means that you're on the summit, and sometimes it means that you do something else completely. They're incredibly inspiring stories of different people finding that for themselves. So the book's called Masters of Badassery, How I Reclaimed My Whole and Wild Self.
I love that.
And yeah, mid-September it's going to be out. I invite everybody to sign up and read it. I'm very excited right now about it.
Yeah, yeah, it sounds amazing. I will put the name of it in the show notes now because I think this will come out before your book comes out.
Okay, great.
But yeah, this has been such a great conversation. I've really enjoyed it, Marta. Do you have any parting words for my listeners?
Yeah, it's been really fun. Thank you for asking these great questions. The thing that I always see is people waiting to be ready. I have so many friends that are just like, I'm gonna do this when blah blah blah. And I was walking yesterday and I was just like on my meditation walks and I was like, I know this is super funny and like basic, but I was like, live as if you're gonna die. We are going to die. We're aging. We're gonna die. Don't wait. If there's that thing that you,
Mhm.
out of this conversation that you're feeling like me in Tasmania that's pulling at your heart, pulling at your soul,
Yeah.
don't wait. You will never be ready.
Hmm.
You will never feel ready. And if you are, that means that this is already in your comfort zone.
Yeah. Yes, and we grow outside of our comfort zone.
That's it. So if there is that thing, and I'm sure you felt it, if you were listening and you were present, you felt something, don't wait.
Yeah. Don't wait. I love that. Thank you so much, Marta, for this conversation. It has been so lovely, and I hope that my listeners get so much out of it because it was really enlightening and amazing. So thank you so much for coming on
Mm.
and
Thank
taking the time to share all the things because I understand that's not always an easy thing to do. So thank you so much.
you. My pleasure. Thank you so much.
And thanks everybody for listening, and I'll see you on the next episode.